Hey guys, what's up? In today's video, I want to talk about a product that is just so good and I cannot live without. And yeah, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but you know what? I'm here for it because if I'm not talking about it, I am doing a disservice. And quite honestly, the results are just so unreal that yeah, I'm just gonna talk about it again. And if you don't already know, now you know. But the product that I'm continuously and will always rave about is HydroGuard. Like, this stuff is just, it's like magic. Like, I don't know what it is. It's just unreal because I had a struggling Thai Constellation tissue culture and I actually filmed this. So in my last video, or a couple videos ago, I had filmed an update on my tissue cultures, specifically the Thai Constellations, and this one was struggling because it had some root rot and the leaves were curling and it was just not looking good. And I feel like it also got thrips, but you know, the thrips are now gone. And yeah, so I took it out and put it in water and HydroGuard. And if you remember, I really hope I still have a picture of it, but I'm gonna try to like do a before and after. But this one root has grown so much. Right here. Maybe if I turn it this way. Do you see that? That root right there that's growing straight down, it was like this long before, right here. That's how like small it was before, and it's like 9 days later and look at it. Like, what is even happening? I don't even understand. So yeah, you guys, you all need to get yourself some HydroGuard. This stuff is just, it's like phenomenal. And you know what? It honestly is gonna make the transition from soil roots to water roots that much easier because it's put off this ginormous aerial root that is now gonna be a root. And yes, I did lose some roots while it was like, you know, sitting in here with the HydroGuard and water, but the others look pretty good. Like this one right here, this root right here, it's pushing off. Like these little ones, the ones that fell off, but I didn't have any browning. I didn't have any areas that were rotting off. Like you would think, let me get it to focus. This area right here that has soil on it, I honestly thought it would have just kind of like shriveled up and died. Like I really did. And even this aerial root or root right here, this main one, where it's like still covered in soil, sort of. This one right here, if this was just sitting in regular water, 100% it would have just started to, you know, to brown, bacteria, fungus, all that stuff. And then it just would have, you know, been a very long, terrible transition. But not with HydroGuard. HydroGuard is life-changing. And if I sound like a broken record, I'm sorry, but we're talking about it again. But also, a little bonus, I suppose. I am going to be showing you guys how I'm going to be potting this bad boy up, and I'm going to be answering some of your questions. So let's get started. Oh, sorry guys, I just like sneezed 3 times. So before I get into showing you guys how I'm going to pot this guy up, I actually want to show you guys another cutting. This is my Monstera elbow, and I just really want to drive the message home as to how good HydroGuard is. So this cutting has been sitting in HydroGuard and water for like a month, a little over a month, I would say. And look at this, look at the results. Like the roots are just taking off right now. And that's not all. I don't know if you can see, but like right here, do you see that? That little tip right there, that, my friend, is a pregnant leaf. I'm gonna have a new leaf very soon. And you know what? It's gonna be a little half moon too, just because of where the node is. So that's exciting. But yeah, if I'm not driving home the message right now, I don't know what else I can do to show you guys that this stuff is just like everybody needs to have it. So let's get into potting this Thai Constellation up. All right, so while I'm doing this, I'm also going to be answering a couple of questions. And this one question is a good question. This person had asked, how often do you feel you water something this size? Trying to save my Thai, but stress I might be dehydrating it. Okay, so I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. Thai Constellations just prefer to be in semi-hydro. I don't know what it is. It's like Thai Constellations and Fried X. They just prefer semi-hydro. And I feel like if your plant is in semi-hydro, you really wouldn't be dehydrating it. Does that make sense? That should make sense because it's in semi-hydro. So there's really no way for you to dehydrate it unless it's like 100% bone dry and you're just withholding water, in which case, yeah, you're not dehydrating it. But if it's in semi-hydro, that environment is always gonna be hydrated, moist, at minimum. So perhaps, this is gonna get a little bit loud, sorry. Perhaps the issue is that it's how that person has their Thai constellation set up. I do believe seeing a picture of his setup before, and it was just in stratum. Now, if you guys recall my previous videos, I don't just use stratum. I always have like a layer of mica like this on the bottom, and then I have stratum on top. So I'm gonna add some stratum as well. So like this is the type of mixture that I would have, but obviously I would fill it all the way up. And this was for demonstration purposes, but I'm probably gonna leave it like this because I do know that my tissue cultures, originally, that's how it was. It's basically reverting back to the original setup that it was in before I had transitioned it over to soil. So I would actually set it up like this, and because of the layer of mica that I have on the bottom, the roots are actually on top of it. So I know that if I fill the water up to like where the mica is, it'll be fine. In theory, it should be fine unless you've like really drowned the entire thing. And this is what dry stratum looks like. It's almost like kind of dusty and gray. So that's what you're looking for. And when it's wet, it's gonna look very glossy and very black. So yeah, I'm gonna finish potting this up now. All right, so I'm nearly done with this Thai constellation, and let's just continue to answer some questions. What grow light do you use? That's a really good question. So this light right here that is shining on my platycerium wall is actually a Soltech dupe. And I say it's a dupe because all the specs on it is pretty much identical to the Soltech, but I purchased it for half the price. And yeah, if I can find it on Amazon, I will link it down below for you. And my IKEA cabinet that's up front here and my other exo tank actually is using the mother light. And I will say that the mother light is fairly intense. So what I will say is that all of my plants are pretty far away from the light source. And it's just because of the intensity of it, and also it kind of runs hot. So if your plants are too close, you may run the risk of bleaching the leaves and or even burning your leaves. So just FYI, if you end up going that route, I will link another set of lights down below for you guys that I had really liked back in the day, and I think I actually would repurchase them again. I just can't remember what they are, but if I can find them, I will also link that down below for you. Right, so this is all done. It's looking pretty good. Okay, next question. May I ask the ratio for mixing hydrogen peroxide and water for flushing your substrate? Okay, that's a good question. So this question is pertaining to when you have semi-hydro and you have a buildup of algae. So I have been using like a 2-to-1 ratio where it's 2 parts water, 1 part hydrogen peroxide. And that, you know, I wouldn't say that's like the end all be all, because let's say that you have more buildup. So if you have more buildup, then actually this is now subjective because I don't have algae to show you. Okay, so let me digress. So like a 2-to-1 ratio, so 2 parts water, 1 part hydrogen peroxide is great if your algae isn't like, you know, if you can still see through your glass. So try that first. If you find that it's not doing anything for you, flip it. So 2 parts hydrogen peroxide, 1 part water, because if your algae buildup is like intense, then you're gonna need something a little bit stronger. But honestly, if you gotten to the point where like it's not even transparent anymore and all you see is green, it may not come off. So just letting you know. Next question. When you fertilize your Hoyas, what numbers are good? 9 to 3 to 6 or 10, 10, 10? Thank you. Love your channel. Oh, thank you for supporting. I really appreciate that. Okay, so this is the General Hydroponics Maxi Grow 10, 5, 14. I've been using this since forever. Like I actually bought 2 bags of this, and clearly this one isn't even open because I'm still on my first one. But yeah, I've been using this particular fertilizer for a very long time, since like COVID. And the reason why is because when I was doing my research, I was told that the NPK, the N is for nitrogen, so it's nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. The higher the number for nitrogen, the more likely your plant will produce more leaves for you and they'll be more green. So that's the reason why I went with that ratio. Now I think she had mentioned like 9-3-6. I think 9-3-6 is fine too. Like I feel like it just really depends on what it is that you want your plant to do, because like when you're looking into fertilizer, especially if you're like using hydroponics or semi-hydro, there are certain fertilizers with different ratios that you would use depending on what you want your plant to do. So like if you want it to focus mostly on like growing more roots, giving you bigger foliage, greener leaves, I think you want to use like a ratio that's higher in nitrogen. Whereas like if you want it to bloom, it's a totally different ratio. So yeah, I'm not an expert in, actually, I'm not even an expert. This is just my experience. But yeah, so in terms of what it is that I use this one. So this Maxi Grow is the 10, 5, 14. All right, so next question is, I can never pronounce that plant, in Leica, but not sure if I want to keep it in there. I am new to this. Do I leave water sitting at the bottom in a jar without drainage? So this question is kind of like a tricky question to answer, because I have questions now. So like, for example, is your plant that is currently in Leica, is it in like a self-watering container? So there's like, you know, well, we all know what a self-watering container looks like, but I mean, I suppose if you're new, you wouldn't know. But a self-watering container, hold on, I'll be right back. All right, so this is what your typical self-watering container looks like. You have this little, you know, cache pot here that will hold the water, so like your reservoir. And then you have this, so your plant would actually be residing in here, and then you have a little wick down here, and it goes in through here, because depending on what kind of substrate it is that you're going to be using, this wick will use capillary action to wick up the water to keep your substrates hydrated. So this is how it looks. So I don't know what your plant situation currently looks like, but if it's in a self-watering container like this, then yes, you should have water at the bottom of your pot right here, because if you don't, then it's going to dry it out and it defeats the purpose of a self-watering container. Now, if your plant is in something like this and you're asking me, should there be water down here? Yes, there should. But how much water? Well, that would depend on where the roots are located and if your plant has already started producing water roots. So like I said, it kind of, I can't really answer that question. Well, I guess I did answer the question, but it's just to give you like the correct answer that you are looking for, I would need to have more information. So I hope that kind of helps. I hope. And that reminds me, I need to water this. Okay. So in here is HydroGuard and a very diluted, very diluted fertilizer. So and that's all the water it's gonna get. So I had already hydrated the Leica, and I'm just gonna keep an eye on this. Actually, this has already been sitting in water for a little over 7 days now, so I'm okay with the water line being further up. So, and I think that was all the questions that I had. So I hope that was helpful, and yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.